You live in a world that never stops pulling at you. Every room you walk into, you feel the emotions that no one else admits. The stress, the anger, the fear, it all finds its way into you even when you never asked for it. And as a Sigma empath, you carry it silently, without anyone noticing the weight it puts on your shoulders. You know you're different. You don't just absorb feelings, you also see patterns, motives, and truths that most people overlook. But here's the challenge. In a world that thrives on noise and chaos, you're forced to protect your peace without shutting down your empathy. You've learned that if you don't stay grounded, the world will drain you dry. And that's why understanding how to balance your sensitivity with your independence is not just important, it's the key to surviving and thriving as a Sigma empath. You set emotional boundaries without guilt. When you're a Sigma empath, one of the hardest lessons you learn is that setting boundaries doesn't make you cold or selfish. It makes you strong. For so long, you've been conditioned to believe that saying no somehow means you've failed others, or that you're betraying your natural role as someone who deeply cares. But in reality, every time you say yes to something that drains you, you're saying no to your own well-being. Boundaries aren't walls, they're filters. They don't shut people out, they simply protect your energy so you can decide who and what is worthy of it. You begin to understand that not everyone deserves unlimited access to your compassion. Some people take without giving back, some people confuse your kindness for weakness, and some people only show up when they need you. Saying no to these patterns isn't cruelty, it's clarity. The more you practice it, the lighter you feel. You stop apologizing for protecting yourself. You stop explaining why you can't carry everyone else's weight. You stop sacrificing your peace just to avoid disappointing others. And with that shift, you finally realize boundaries are not rejection. They're an act of self-respect. You ground yourself in solitude. Solitude's not a weakness for you, it's a necessity. As a Sigma empath, being alone doesn't mean you're disconnected. It means you're refueling. The world throws constant noise at you, people's emotions, hidden agendas, and the endless chaos of daily life. If you stay plugged into that energy all the time, it drains you to the point where you start losing yourself. That's why solitude becomes your anchor. When you step back into your own space, you're not running away, you're reclaiming control. In that silence, you can actually hear your own thoughts again. You notice what's yours and what belongs to others. You realize how much of what you've been carrying isn't even yours to begin with. And in that reset, you recharge the energy that makes you who you are. The truth is, people who fear being alone never really understand the power you gain from it. They confuse solitude with loneliness, but you know better. For you, solitude is a sanctuary. It's the place where your intuition sharpens, your balance returns, and your strength rebuilds. And every time you come back from it, you're more grounded, more focused, and harder to shake. You observe without absorbing. One of your greatest strengths as a Sigma empath is your ability to observe deeply without getting swallowed by what you see. You can walk into a room and instantly sense who's nervous, who's angry, who's pretending to be fine, and who's silently falling apart. But here's the difference. You don't let their emotions become your burden. Instead of absorbing everything like a sponge, you create a filter. You notice, you understand, and you empathize, but you don't carry it home with you. This is what separates you from empaths who constantly feel drained. You've learned that just because you can feel someone's pain doesn't mean you have to live in it. By observing without absorbing, you keep your clarity. You can read the situation, protect your energy, and decide how much of yourself to give. That's what makes you powerful. You remain compassionate without being consumed, grounded without being cold. You can care without collapsing. You protect your energy like it's currency. When you finally see your energy as something valuable, like currency, everything changes. You realize you can't keep spending it on people who only take and never give. You stop over-investing in relationships that leave you empty, and you no longer feel guilty for pulling back. Protecting your energy becomes second nature because you understand it's the foundation of your peace, your clarity, and your strength. Instead of handing it out freely, you become intentional. You give to those who respect your boundaries, who appreciate your presence, and who add value to your life. And when someone drains you, you step away without hesitation. This isn't coldness, it's self-respect. Because every time you say no to what depletes you, you say yes to yourself, your growth, and your inner balance. That's why people feel the difference when they're around you. Your energy is steady, powerful, and impossible to exploit. You choose environments that nurture peace. You've learned that not every place deserves your presence and not every environment deserves your energy. Chaos might try to pull you in, but you no longer adapt just to survive it. Instead, you choose spaces where peace is the standard, not the exception. This means surrounding yourself with people who respect your boundaries, with energy that feels steady, and with settings that allow you to breathe instead of constantly defend yourself. It's not about being fragile, it's about being smart with what feeds your balance. You know that peace isn't something you stumble upon, it's something you build and protect. Whether it's your home, your friendships, or even the work you do, you filter out what drains you and lean into what strengthens you. And over time, you realize that creating your own calm isn't a luxury, it's survival. Because when you're rooted in peace, no chaos outside can shake you on the inside. You trust your intuition over noise. You've learned that your intuition is more reliable than the noise of the world around you. While others get lost in opinions, trends, and constant distractions, you've discovered that your clarity comes from within. It's not about ignoring what's happening around you, it's about filtering it through your inner compass. You can feel when something aligns with you and when it doesn't, and you've stopped second-guessing that instinct. Instead of being swayed by external chaos, you trust the quiet signals inside, the gut feelings, the subtle awareness, the inner yes or no that always speaks before the mind starts overthinking. This trust gives you an edge. You don't waste time chasing what isn't meant for you, and you don't lose yourself trying to please others. You know that the world is loud, but your intuition is precise. And by leaning on it, you move with certainty in places where others stumble in confusion. You transform pain into quiet strength. Every wound you've carried has carved something deeper into you, not weakness, but strength. You've felt the sting of betrayal, disappointment, and emotional pain. Yet, instead of letting it break you, you've learned to turn it into quiet power. You don't lash out, you don't collapse, you absorb the lesson, and you rise stronger. Each scar becomes a reminder of how much you've endured and how much you've grown. As an empath, pain used to feel unbearable because you carried it all at once, but over time you've realized that every emotional storm sharpens your awareness and makes you wiser. You no longer see pain as an ending, you see it as a transformation. The same wounds that once drained you now fuel your resilience. You've learned that your sensitivity isn't a weakness at all, it's the source of your strength. And in silence, you've built a kind of power no one can see, but everyone can feel. You walk away when peace is threatened. You've learned something most people never do. Peace is non-negotiable. The moment someone or something begins to disturb that peace, you don't waste time debating whether you should stay. You know your worth and you know your energy is sacred. Walking away isn't weakness, it's strength. It's the recognition that you don't need to fight for what was never meant to be safe for you. As a Sigma Empath, you trust yourself enough to detach without hesitation. You don't linger in environments that chip away at your balance. You don't second guess whether you're being too sensitive. You simply know if it costs you your peace, it's too expensive. And so you walk away, not with anger, not with drama, but with quiet certainty. Because, in the end, protecting your inner calm is the greatest act of self-respect you can show. If this spoke to you, it's because you already know how rare your sensitivity is. In a world that often demands noise, you've chosen peace, and that's powerful. Remember, protecting your energy isn't selfish, it's survival. If you want more reminders of that strength, subscribe and come back here whenever you need grounding. Now I'll leave you with a question. When was the last time you chose peace over chaos, and how did it change you?